Alright everybody, we're back. It's the Bald Bearded Bicyclist, and this is the first race recap of the year. It's actually the second race I did. The first one was a club race on this same course. This is the Marilla short course, which was a race course that the club has used in the past. I'm not sure what the last year they did this course. You can actually see the hill that we're on right now is the finish line uphill sprint, and we are on the second of 5 laps at this point. So we've done this a couple of times. We actually did it once neutral already, so it's really our third time up the hill. Obviously in neutral we weren't hitting it too hard, but there's some pretty steep sections on there, so it's not like you can just coast up the thing. This is the Cat 4-5 race. It is a sanctioned race, and like I said, I had done this course the week before. Last year's USAC race in Marilla was very different than this course. I mean, there were a couple of sections that were the same, shared, but for the most part, this course is very rolly. Like it does not stop rolling. You're either going up or you are going down, and there are some pretty steep sections. I'll show you a couple of them, but where we're at in the race already, we've already made quite a selection. This field, I believe, started with 22 people, and shortly before that climb that we just did, I actually was positioned pretty badly and the field separated. I think there were about 5 people. I think the guys that are right on the front of this group, they had kind of separated a little bit, and I, for whatever reason, decided to stitch things up myself. And looking back at the stats, I spent, I think, over 3 minutes in VO2, which is just, I really shouldn't have done that by myself. I didn't even feel like looking back to see if I was dropping people. That we did end up dropping a whole bunch, but I also dragged the rest of the group back together. So I have to get better at conserving my energy and making other people help me out with gaps like that, and maybe I'd have some more energy at the end. But overall, for an early season race, I'm pretty happy with how I did. Definitely seen some big improvement since last year. You can see this is one of the kickers that are just all over this course. A good 8% there, and this is the fastest little downhill section in this course. But and I always like these downhills because I can just tuck and I end up flying right to the front of the group because I'm a bigger rider in this field. These guys like the hills, so you can see there's a lot of new faces in the Buffalo scene this year. It was actually great to have all these guys out from out of town. Some super strong juniors, and it's just fun to shake things up. Kind of a bummer because if I look at all the racers that I know and that are local, maybe I would have placed a little bit better. But yeah, it's good to race against fast people. It's only going to make you stronger. So I'm all about it. I'm gonna skip ahead. I'll just skip all around and just show you a couple of the fun climbs and key moments in the race. But I'll leave it on this one. You can kind of see it again, just how rolly this course is. You got that nice downhill, then you go up and then down. Not too technical. I mean, there's this kind of sweeping turn right over here. You take a left, and really the next hill can definitely be a decision maker because you really lose all momentum because it's a lot tighter than a 90 degree. I mean, you could actually see some guys look like they're kind of attacking off the front. But, also at this point, I believe there's 2 riders off the front. There was one rider from Pursuit Racing who went off really early. I mean, I don't know if it was the first lap or if it was the first lap and a half. But see, you're going to lose a lot of momentum on this turn here, and then all of a sudden you're on a pretty steep 8%, 9, 10, 11, looks like 12 there. And people hit that real hard. So obviously you need to stay attached here, because right over this hill, then you're going downhill. So you really want to try to keep it all together. But like I was saying, there's one racer from Pursuit Racing who got off the front really early, and amazingly he stayed away. I mean, nobody in this group really wanted to take charge for the chase, and I think we all just kind of assumed. I mean, no one knew him. He was a new rider to the Buffalo area, so guess we just didn't know how strong he was, but we assumed we'd be able to bring him back. It's not like we were taking it easy, but steady, I guess, wins the race. And then I think the rider that just went off the front, we do end up bringing back, but there was another rider from Pitt who got off the front as well, and I think he stayed away the whole time as well. So pretty wild. Great job to those guys. Way to just stick with it and just attack and go for it, man. That's great. The only really other technical thing about this course, and I wouldn't really say it's technical, but maybe today in the wet people were being a little too cautious, or it's just a Cat 4 thing that people were being a little cautious. This turn at the end of this downhill, I was trying to get to the front because I knew that people who either weren't experienced or haven't ridden this course would probably be taking it a little too gentle, especially in the rain. So like, I wasn't braking at all here. You can see my speed's 29 miles per hour. I lose a couple miles per hour, but I'm able to keep my speed up. And a couple of the guys stay on me, but a lot of the time there were huge gaps forming at that point. Zach's going to take that opportunity to do a little attack. But people were grabbing their brakes in that turn, which was really unnecessary. So I was trying to get to the front every lap and just take it at speed, choose the line, and I was able to fly right through it. But I know that was causing havoc in the back. And actually, the lap just before this, where I said I had to close the gap, that was how the gap happened. That was the one lap, I think, that I was in the middle of the pack. And somebody, a bunch of people squeezed their brakes. I lost a ton of momentum. Big gap formed. I had to go around a bunch of people and try to stitch things up. So knowing the course and knowing how to corner and knowing who you can trust through the corner to not grab their brakes, it's pretty important, and it can really catch you out and make you do way more work than you need. Again, I was going to skip ahead, but I forget this course is a lot of fun because there's just stuff, there's these punchy hills over and over and over. You really don't get the opportunity to just coast or take it easy at all on this course. Which is great, and it makes it super dynamic and gives a lot of people opportunities to get away and keep things interesting. For myself, a bigger rider, it definitely makes it difficult. I mean, it's going to be difficult no matter what. It's a race. But I would much rather... I don't know if I'd much rather. I mean, it's a lot of fun. But I probably have a better opportunity to win in my current fitness and state, just being able to draft and stay in a pack and then maybe you know, trying a late attack or something like that. But with a course like this, there's really no just chilling in the pack. It just doesn't work. So fitness goes a long way, and you know, maybe I just didn't have it this day, but like I said, at the end of the day, I was pretty proud of where I was, and I'd be happy with it. This guy in the mechanism, Bibs, he was making a lot of moves, tried to get off the front a couple of times. Right before a downhill is probably not the best place to do it, but I like that he was you know, having some fun and trying some stuff. But you know, I'm doing 0 watts and I just coast right back up. So when you got big guys in the field, it's tough to get away. And these climbs are maybe not quite sustained enough for the climbers to get away either. So that's why that finish climb that really this video started on, that's the main one that people just hammer if you're a good climber, because it's a little bit more sustained and you can really cause some major gaps there and drop some people if you can push it over the top. So I will in fact jump around and find something interesting. All right, so being a bigger guy, again, there's a lot of kind of bouncing back and forth. Oh, by the way, give me a like if you could, and subscribe. It'll really help my channel out. I'm trying to get more viewers to see my stuff. I've got the race recaps, and then I've also got just fun riding vlogs, day in the life stuff, and different riding tips. I just recently put a video out about bike nutrition, so if you're interested in that kind of thing, check it out. But being a bigger guy, these hilly courses are going to be super surgy. So you can see, you know, on the downhill I kind of shot forward, and then on the uphill, you know, I have to put in a ton of watts, and then there was a little surge there and I wanted to be with it, but then the guy on the front slowed down. So now I find myself on the front and I don't want to be on the front. So best thing to do if you find yourself in that position is just soft pedal. I mean, people will go around you eventually if they want, and because I'm all the way at the front, I mean, if people attack, chances are somebody else is going to follow them. We still got a pretty big group. So I'm on the front, you know, going, you know, well under even Z2. But I'm also aware that, you know, maybe somebody would want to attack. So I'm kind of ready. But people, you can see in the back camera, are taking the opportunity to eat, drink, and I just know that there's really no reason for me to be on the front, so I'm still gonna give some for the little kickers, because again, I can't really get up those without putting some power down anyways, unless I want to lose all my momentum, which I don't want to do. But you know, I don't really want to pull the field around. And you can see it's, you know, 150. Yeah, it shot up to like 200, but that's still Z2. And now I'm just kind of like going back and forth, and now I'm using the downhill. So there's a turn up here, so I'm just kind of setting up for that at this point. Getting to the left, and I know that really these turns, because people are going to brake because it's wet, they can cause little breaks. So like, even if I don't do a lot of work on the front, there can still be gaps that open, and so, you know, I'll put a little bit of power down just to see if people in the back are actually going to have to do some work to stay on. But again, I'm just going to kind of soft pedal until I wait and see until somebody passes me. So all right, so I'm patiently waiting. I know somebody's going to pass, and these guys come through with a little bit of an attack. I mean, no one really fully committed to it, but it definitely makes the group surge. But again, the group, like, I knew other people would follow, and I can just kind of slot right in at the back. I don't need to go chasing from the front, which is never advised. If you're on the front, let somebody else do the chasing and then hop on them, get right in the draft. Now I'm actually in a much better position than I was in before, because I can draft. So I'm just going to hang out here and wait for really that big finishing climb is the next kind of feature. So I'll really want to get in position for that. I don't want to be all the way at the back for that climb. Again, being a bigger guy, it's better for me to be a little bit closer to the front. But I'm okay with these little bit of surges being in the draft rather than being on the front trying to respond to everything. So okay, so here we are on the third lap, coming into that finishing climb, and I'm going to use my momentum coming from the downhill right before to slingshot a little bit and try to move up a bit before the really steep part. Just use my momentum, and that always really helps me. And again, I don't really want to start a climb ever all the way at the back, because it's going to be really hard for me to keep up if there's some big attacks on there and the smaller guys go for it. So I mean, I probably could have done even better by getting more to the front before it, but I was okay. As long as I stay attached at the top, we're still having to put in a bit of an effort here, even over the top, just to make sure that we're in the draft here. So now we're starting the fourth lap now, and then there's actually a little bit of an attack here. Yeah, so I don't think I was paying attention, and some guys attacked, big gap opened up, and I was on the wrong side of it here, and I was really watching Zach, who's in front of me. I thought he was one of the favorites for this race, so I was very comfortable on his wheel, and I didn't really think that there would be a gap opening in front. I spoke to him later, and he was just off today, but now there's a big gap. I'm yelling out to Zach. I said, let's close this. Trying to work together with him. I definitely don't want the race to get away from us. I unfortunately had to close one big gap earlier in the race, and I was not expecting to have to close this one, but you gotta do what you gotta do, and so I'm trying, but I'm also struggling. I mean, you can see my power drop there. I was hoping somebody would come through, help me out a little bit. When you think about just the gap itself, it's not that far, it's not that bad, but we just hit that climb for the fourth time, and then you're trying to make this big gap closing effort after that, and it's just really sapping the legs. I know that this uphill is coming. In my mind, I'm thinking, well, hopefully I can catch them on the downhill. I always kind of pick up speed here. Do I catch them? I don't even remember. It's like 2 days ago. I'm like, what happened here? So it's strung out. I mean, you can see there's gaps all over the place. Everybody's fighting to get back on. I don't know who was actually on the front and that caused this to splinter so much. But there's a lot of pockets of people who are suffering from it. And I'm just hoping, I can maybe leapfrog, jump from one of these riders to another and get a tiny bit of draft and just keep working. So you can see these guys are kind of working together, and it gives you a little bit of renewed hope when you see pockets of guys that you can reach, and it's like, all right, well, maybe we can work together, or I can draft off them a little bit, and all of a sudden, you've got another 300-400 watts in your legs when 2 seconds ago you were dying and could barely hold 200 watts. So that's the thing with these hills too, because you're constantly doing hard efforts up them, but then you can coast down. So it's just like it's such a hard way to like measure your efforts. There's no way I could just still be pushing 300 watts, but with 300 watts and then 0 watts, you can kind of put it back in. So we got a nice little group here, but I also know this really steep one's coming up. Not looking forward to that, but it's really important to make sure you're in the right gear with a hill like this, where you're going to lose momentum with a turn like that. We dropped down to 14 miles per hour, and then all of a sudden I'm at 700 watts. Like you just kind of have to anticipate that everyone's going to smash it up this hill. So I thought I was going to get pinched there, and I definitely lost a little bit of momentum, but able to kind of stick with it. Just hoping to be on a wheel here. Ugh, I can feel the pain on this. It's always funny watching them back and thinking like, oh, you can just push a little bit harder. You can get up there, pull things back together. It's not that easy. It hurts so much. So I'm happy for this downhill though, because I'm in a draft and I like this turn, and I think I'm thinking I should probably get to the front. I'm hoping none of these guys grab their brakes. There is a little gap here, which I am a little bit worried about. I'm just going to let a lot of this play out because I don't even remember what happened. Yeah, I think I saw that signal, and I was like, oh crap. If he's signaling that he's going to slow down, then he's probably going to have to hit brakes, which he did. I really knew I should have gotten in front and took that turn at speed, because you could see then I got gapped off because I wasn't expecting him to hit brakes, and then I had to surge to get through. So that was not ideal. But we do see that group. They're just on the other side of that car, I think. So I get the flick through, and I go to work. Again, I maybe should have relied on these guys a little bit more, but I mean, you can see that I caused a gap. I wasn't pulling that hard. I see these guys in sight, and I just think, I don't want to rely on anybody else. I don't want to lose the group right now. And I actually saw this car in front, and I was like, oh, maybe I can draft off them for a little bit. And then they pulled off, which was kind of a bummer. But I am pretty much determined to just close this gap at this point. But there is a pretty good kicker right here into this turn, and you can see there's a gap behind me too, but I pretty much latch on, but then I don't. So again, I'm pushing, and they saw me too. I think they were yelling to each other to pick it up, to not let us catch back on. Again, at this point, I'm determined, and it's just a bummer. It's tough to know, like, oh, can you work with the guys behind you, but I just needed to do that myself and assure that I would get back onto the group and then see how long I could hold on at that point. So I know Greg's a good wheel to be on, so I try to get on there. And then a tiny bit of downhill. That felt so good. I remember that. It's tough because, like, I want to stay on Greg's wheel, but then, like, when am I going to hit my brakes? That's the thing. It's like, it's just so hard to conserve, and then because now I'm not on a wheel and I'm drifting back. There's just no way to keep a steady effort on a course like this, and it's so painful. And now I'm shooting forward again, and I feel like I had to grab brakes there. It's just I don't know. What's it like to be a light rider? Drop it in the comments. What's it like? It's amazing. I'm sure it all hurts. You're working just as hard. You're just faster. So this kid, Jack, who's on the front right now, super strong. He was making a lot of moves, and right now is really trying to get the group to work together, which was great. You know, I don't know what other people were thinking, if they were motivated, if they'd given up on the chase of those other guys. From my perspective, I was just trying to hang on to whatever group I could latch on to. Again, I'm not really sitting in a draft right now. What am I doing? I mean, I'm not going very hard, but still, I mean, there's no reason why I need to be out here by myself. So I got to work on that. I think I get in the mode that it's like, well, if I'm not working that hard, I don't need to be in a draft. But then there's a gap, and now there's, you know, I wasn't going to chase Andy here either. Like, I was just in no shape to do any real work. So I saw him do a little tack, and said, go for it. Other people will close it. I'm actually in a draft for once, which is great. But yeah, there's just a lot of this, surging up and down and trying not to die. We'll skip ahead a little bit. Hey, by the way, do you guys like the new metric overlay? I switched it up a little bit this year. I like this one because it's actually got the countdown, and it's a little bit more simplified. Let me know in the comments. We are hammering it again up this hill. I believe I saw 20% there for a second. You can see I am getting gapped off real good, and I don't even know what was going through my mind right now. I wanted to be up there, and I think I was just thinking, what just happened? Why am I back here and not up there? Luckily, they don't really seem to mind that they slow down and let me catch back on. I don't think anyone really looked back or saw me as a threat at this point, maybe. So last lap. So unfortunately, somewhere around here, I realized my back tire was very soft. I run tubeless, and luckily I didn't full on have a flat, but I did check it later, and it had about 25 psi. So it punctured somewhere along the way and sealed up, but very, very low. Not to say that would have changed my result in any way. I was destroyed, but didn't help. So who knows? Unfortunately, they're brand new tires too. Such a bummer. So now that's going to be a training tire that I use with a tube, I guess. I don't know. I debated full on throwing it out, but I'm a back rat and I can't do it. So we'll see. Now I'm running mismatched tires, a Conti 5000 STR on the front, and then a old Conti 5000 TL, which I had laying around. So we'll see how that does for my next race. All right, so I'm really just trying to hang on. I can tell that Jack here in the blue Venge kit, he wants to make something happen. He's been doing different attacks, and he definitely intentionally wanted to get all the way to the back. I think he wasn't happy that I let him slot in there, but then he kept looking back and he kept checking. I just knew he was getting ready for something. Not that I was going to do anything about it, because I was super tired, as I've said. But you can see him, he shoots the front there and then he hits it hard. So people are taking a little bit long to respond here because everybody's tired. It's last lap. It was a pretty good move. And you could see how strung out it is. I don't know if you can really even see how far ahead he actually got there. Maybe, yeah. So he's got a pretty sizable gap. And you could, we'll wait and see how long I can actually stick on. But I think during the race, I mean, obviously wasn't too worried about Jack going off the front. I was not going to be the one to catch him, so I was just trying to hang on to these guys if I could. What I should have been doing is moving up more while we're on the flat here and on this slight descent into the turn and really steep pitch after the turn. But I think I was just maybe too tired to really be worried about positioning. I really want to be on the outside here and up further. I'm kind of like letting myself get gapped off a little bit too. So it's not ideal. And let's see what happens on this hill. This is a rough one too, especially after you've done 4 full laps here, 4.5 laps. It's just that feeling of coming to, basically a stop around that turn and then having to hit it up this. It's a mental thing that makes this hill seem so much harder than it is. And I see him give up and I'm just like, damn it. I'm either gonna have to close that gap myself, or I'm off the back of this group. And I just don't think I had it in me anymore. I think also I thought maybe on the downhill I'll gain some room. That car gave up on us. They pretty much figured we were done for. It's probably a good move. Again, I probably, maybe I should have attacked on this downhill to pick up my speed before the turn, which I know that I can take at speed pretty well. What did I do here? I feel like I did go in front. Yeah, so I give it a little bit just to make sure I can take this turn the way that I want. And no brakes. I didn't even take it as fast as I did the other lap, so well within the grip, especially with tire that's 30 psi. It's got a ton of grip. Again, I don't think I realized it was that low, but they're in sight. Like, it's so demoralizing to just, they're right there. Go get them. Oh, maybe I do catch them. I don't even remember. I don't know. I got to be a little bit proud of my my progress from last season, and just even on a course that does not suit me. Well, yeah, at least got in front of the car again. Then there's an uphill right there. See, that's the thing. Like, if this course was the old Marilla course, I'd probably have a section of flat in between these hills, and I would have been able to catch on. But it's always so up and down that, by the time I'm about to latch on, I'm hitting another uphill, and I'm delaying the inevitable here. Come on. Give it some juice. Sprint across. So easy. This is one. People hit this one hard before the turn. Oh, man, I'm basically back on this group. Oh, so... And I just lose all momentum, and I think that's where I lose the last bit of motivation. And that's the nail in the coffin there. So I ride it in. You can see me struggle up the last climb if you want. So there was one point where the group was in reach again, but I just couldn't do it, and then they got away. I think I ended up like 45, 50 seconds behind the main group. Jack ended up winning the sprint to take third place, so good job to him. And the guys that stayed away, well done. That's great. I don't know what kind of power you were putting out, but I'm sure it hurt regardless. So good on you. And if you could, like and subscribe, I'd appreciate it. And come check out some local races in Buffalo. We've got a few more. I'm actually going to be going out to the Monroe Falls near Cleveland area of Ohio to do a couple of crits in the next few weeks, so keep a lookout for those. And then we've got a fun downtown crit in Buffalo, as well as a few other road races, and then the 2 days of Buffalo, which you've seen on my channel before. That's a stage race. That's a ton of fun at the end of the summer. So come out and race, or if you want to just check out the videos, do that too. So I'll have some more race recaps as I do some more racing, and I'll probably have some other fun stuff too. Subscribe and keep a lookout. I will see you out there.
How'd the finish go?